What's going on, fight fans? My name is Clint. I am from the Die Hard MMA podcast. I'm with my boy Lock, Manpreet, MMA Lock of the Night, switching us around so we're below our appropriate headers here in this spot. Thank you for rocking with us on a very special St. Patty's Day edition of the Deadlock podcast. We both got busy as shit, so we had to move the show a day forward, and then we moved it a couple days back. It's been bouncing around all week. Lock, buddy, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I said it right off the top before we hopped on here. I'm like, damn, I forgot to wear the green. I forgot to celebrate the whole St. Patrick's Day flow kind of thing. I had a couple other things on my mind other than St. Patrick's Day. I told you there's something that I wanted to play right off the bat because I feel like people need to hear this and I need to pay my respects. So let's just click on over to my guy right here and hear what he has to say.
Audio's not coming through.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm not hearing it. I don't know if the people can hear it, but I'm not hearing it.
Well, pretty much everybody who's seen that clip before knows exactly what it is. This is my guy, Razor Ramon. Scott Hall passed away a couple of days ago, and it's kind of bummed me out over the last couple of days because I really enjoyed him as a wrestler when I was a big wrestling fan back in the day. Clint, were you ever a wrestling fan at any point in your life?
You know, I'll be honest, Locke. No, I really wasn't because I had a very sheltered upbringing. So, you know, the ladies in bikinis and the guys chugging beers and throwing up the bird and telling each other to suck it. And yeah, it didn't really fly. It didn't really fly in my household. So no, I never got to watch wrestling growing up.
Luckily, I had an older brother that me and him were able to kind of like do it on the DL without our parents watching or anything like that. So we were very much into like the pro wrestling days when I was growing up. He's the one that actually got me into it. And obviously, I know Scott Hall from like his NWA day or NWO days and all that stuff. And, you know, him partnering up with Kevin Nash. And so to hear him, you know, having passed away a couple of days ago, that was a big bummer for me because that was a little bit of my childhood, right? And then seeing all the tributes and all that stuff come in, it really tore me up over the last couple of days. But you know, getting over it, that one quote is one quote that I'm very much behind in terms of something that he said was hard work pays off, dreams come true, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. And he was a bad guy, just like Mr. Chael and himself. But Scott Hall was one of the original bad guys as well. So rest in peace to Scott Hall. But let's get back to the fun stuff. That's what we're here for. I apologize for bringing it down a little bit, but I felt a couple of the viewers would have appreciated a little bit of a tribute to Scott Hall because I'm sure a lot of MMA fans were pro wrestling fans, maybe still be pro wrestling fans. So there's a little bit of a crossover there. But yeah, Clint, life gets busy. I completely understand, and we had to push this back a day. But I'm glad that we're still staying consistent with it on a bi-weekly basis for everybody that comes in and watches the show. This is the one show that I look forward to most. You know what I mean, because there's not really much preparation that goes into it. We're just fans. We're just commenting and reacting to certain storylines that are going around the MMA sphere, rather than having to be like, okay, I'm betting on this guy. I think the odds are horrible on this guy. We do enough of that. I'm just so happy to always do the show with you and talk some shit and just laugh. You know what I mean? Let's fucking laugh. Let's have some fun. Try to make our viewers laugh as well.
I'm right there with you, Locke. You know, if I had hair, I'd say I'd be letting it down for this show. It's,
I can let it down for you. I got plenty. No,
there you go. No, it's definitely my favorite show, man, for sure. Just because we get to be fans, and that's kind of what it's all about. But we got a couple topics. We got a couple interesting things we want to talk about. I mean, first and foremost, apparently, Kevin Holland making his debut as Batman, saving people, tackling bums, you know, people trying to rob your cities. Not right now, baby. Not while Kevin Holland's on the lookout. This is the second time I think that he has snagged somebody mid-crime. Like, does it get any better than Kevin Holland and what he's doing right now, man? Can his stock go any higher?
Honestly, it's hilarious seeing him do these kinds of things, and it's totally like Kevin Holland to go out there and do something like that and be put into those situations, right? So this particular incident that we're talking about happened over there in Houston. This is according to ESPN. Holland told ESPN on Tuesday that he was eating sushi with his friend Patrick Robinson when he heard a loud bang and saw people running away in fear. Holland said he and Robinson saw another man try to wrestle the gun away from the shooter, so Holland and Robinson approached to help disarm the man and detain him until police arrived. Sounds like something that every fighter just waits for, right? I've always heard about stories about people like wanting to be on an airplane when it's about to get hijacked because they want to be the badass that takes down the hijacker or something like that, right? It's happened a couple times in MMA in terms of guys being vigilantes in a sense. John Jones did it a couple days before his title fight against Shogun Hua, where he helped chase down a guy that stole a woman's purse. There's a couple other that come to mind, but the
Back when we
funniest
thought he was a
is
good guy.
yeah, exactly. Before the heel turn, or actually the face reveal of who he actually was, which is a scumbag. But have you ever heard of Phoenix Jones? You know Phoenix Jones,
Yeah, I know all about Phoenix Jones.
right?
He was the shit back in the day, man. When Phoenix Jones started popping up, it was like, oh dang, like someone's actually going for it. I love it.
Exactly. For those that don't know, there was an MMA fighter named, I think it was Carlos Fodor, if I'm not mistaken, was his name. But he fought for Bellator. I think he fought for WSOF at a certain time as well. But this guy legit made an action hero suit for himself to go out there and gave him that moniker of Phoenix Jones. And he would try to go out there and just, I think it was in Seattle, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even Portland. But yeah, he used to go out there and just try to fight crime. And I'm not
Yep.
sure if he did anything newsworthy, but maybe his suit was most newsworthy or anything. I don't know about you, Clint, but up here where I'm from in the Toronto area that I'm from, we have somebody. So I'm from Brampton. That there's something called, or somebody called, the Brampton Batman. That's his
Hmm.
name. He literally has like legit the Batman suit. He goes out. He has a Batmobile, like similar to a fucking Batmobile. It's crazy.
That's
He's
awesome.
gotten pulled over a couple times, but yeah, there's some people out there that just want to take justice into their own hands. Kevin Holland, luckily, it's just falling into his lap. It's not like he's
Yeah.
trying to be a vigilante and going out there and trying to, ruffle up some feathers or anything like that, trying to take a mob boss down or anything. It just falls into his lap. But it's a feel good story, right? It is definitely a feel good story. Shines a solid light on the MMA world rather than the mainstream media just thinking it's cockfighting and all that type of shit. This
Yep.
is kind of what we want to push, that martial arts helps people in real life situations, and Kevin Holland is the epitome of that. So yeah, fun story. Loved it.
We get enough guys going out there, with CTE causing problems, and we get enough people trying to stab their sisters, and we need more
Oh my
stories
god. Yeah.
where MMA guys are doing good things, saving people, pulling cats out of trees, and rescuing babies and women in their purses. Like, we absolutely need more of this shit. So I'm glad it keeps happening to Kevin Holland. Stay safe. Don't go too crazy on the vigilante justice thing. And last point back on Phoenix Jones, man, I think he lived in a state. Again, I'm with you. I can't remember exactly where he lived, but they had a thing where I watched like a YouTube video on it back when I was younger, and it was a state where you could do like an agreement to combat to settle a dispute. Like
Ooh.
it's in the law that if you want to fight somebody, if both combatants agree to it beforehand, it's not illegal to fight in the street. So he would literally find a real police officer, and if somebody was out there like drunk and starting shit, he would challenge them to a fist fight. And they would just be like, do you agree to hand combat? The officer essentially steps in and is the referee, and they duked it out in the street. There's like 2 or 3 times where he would just find some dick on the street that wanted to throw hands, and he would fight. So he wasn't like a real vigilante. He wasn't performing real justice, but it was a fun story. It was interesting enough for YouTube when I was, 17, 18 years old.
Exactly. I quickly want to. He was an abysmal UFC, or sorry, MMA fighter.
He wasn't
seven
great.
three and one record. His last loss, funnily enough, coming to Mr. Van Zant back in October of 2017. But yeah, he actually even fought his brother. He had a step brother or something like
Ah,
that. Carlos Fodor was his step brother. He actually lost to him in WSOF. Phoenix Jones's real name is Ben Fodor. That's what his actual name was. And in case anybody wants to go out there and Google that. If you also want to Google Brampton Batman, you'll see his spiffy Batmobile as well in Google Images if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, let's get into actual MMA stuff, and something that I'm really looking forward to getting into here. First, let's talk about the win for Mr. Magomed Ankalaev. He goes out there and he defeats Thiago Santos over 25 minutes last time, or this past weekend. And outside of slipping up in the second round where he gets clipped and hurt, pretty much bats a perfect performance in my opinion. He did what he needed to. He pushed Thiago Santos backwards, kept him on his back foot, kept him behind that warning track, and he didn't recklessly go in. He didn't recklessly try to go in and try to find that knockout or anything like that. He bided his time. He waited for the proper opportunities, and then he started letting his strikes go. More often than not, they were counters. He was just waiting for Thiago Santos to open up so that he could counter him in return. That's kind of Magomed's style. But I thought he was controlling the majority of that fight. I don't know what people are saying that this was a close fight. Sure, to the layman, it might look like a close fight, but for the majority of that fight, it looked like Ankalaev was in control. Sure, he wasn't going crazy in terms of output or anything, but anytime he threw, more often than not, he landed, and he was the one, inflicting most of the damage in that fight outside of that slip up in round 2 of Thiago Santos. So, in my opinion, solid learning experience type of performance for Magomed Ankalaev, going the full 25 minutes for the first time inside the UFC against a heavy hitter like Thiago Santos. Again, you don't want to slip up at all. Don't want to let go of that discipline ever so slightly, because we know Thiago Santos can absolutely put your lights out. So I don't mind that performance from Magomed Ankalaev. Like, Santos has put on a couple of stinkers in this past couple of fights, but that's not on either guy essentially, right? Like, Thiago Santos is waiting for that opportunity to explode and land that big shot. That's why Alexander Rakic was pretty much doing the same thing that Ankalaev was, right? Maybe not as active with the leg kicks, but was pushing him back and kind of pressuring him the entire time, more so with feints and just trying to draw out something so he can counter. I thought that was a great performance. The Johnny Walker one was very weird, right? That was one where both guys were scared of the power from each other, but we saw Santos just outpoint him ever so slightly there. But if you thought that Magomed Ankalaev performance was bad, you're not thinking deep enough, in my opinion. The margin for error in that division against a guy like Thiago Santos is so small. And if you step up a little bit, everything that you built up over the last several years is gone to shit now, because your title shot aspirations, everything is gone. Even if it wasn't entertaining, I don't care. You're going in there to get wins. That's what matters at the end of the day. And you got to win that night. Please let me know. I gotta win. Let me know what your thoughts were on that performance.
No, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. I think the reason people felt like it was so close is because it looked like he was running scared. Like, he got hit with that one big shot. He got hurt. He got wobbled. He got dropped. Like, that was terrifying. And the entire rest of the fight, everyone was on the edge of their seat waiting for it to happen again. So I think that's kind of why it felt like it was closer than it really was. There were a couple moments where Thiago would explode and go for it, but he was never really that close to getting it again. Magomed made the appropriate adjustments, stayed out of harm's way, got the win. I had a big parlay on Ankalaev myself. Like, I was definitely in his corner that night, and I was scared shitless after that first drop because I wasn't sure he was going to come back and be all the way there, but he recovered well, and he did what he had to do to get his arm raised. I think you're absolutely correct. And, as a gambler, as a sports bettor, honestly, those are the best wins you can ask for. If the fight is boring and you're not scared that you're going to lose your money, that's what we're looking for. So it was a great performance, in my opinion. He did what he had to do. I don't think it's anything to write home about. Personally, Thiago Santos is old and busted at this point. Even though he's got that big power, he doesn't have the speed or the explosiveness to go ahead and close the distance. This is why I bet on Magomed in the first place in that spot. I think there's going to be some other people in the division, though, that might be a little younger, a little quicker, might be able to give him some problems.
Well, we'll get to that in a second here, Clint. I know where you're going with this, so we'll get right to there. But I just quickly wanted to say, would I have liked if Magomed Ankalaev went out there with a grapple-heavy approach and tried to take this to the ground and make it a little bit safer? Yeah. But maybe he just thought that why am I exerting so much energy to ground this guy where it might affect my gas tank? And this is the first time I'm going 25 minutes. Maybe that's in the back of his head as well, in case he doesn't finish Thiago Santos on the ground and still has to go another 10 or 15 minutes or whatever it might be to close out the fight via decision, right? That's a little bit of a concern. I like when he took that clinch approach in that 5th round, got 2.5 minutes of control time and just literally just Charlie horse Thiago Santos the entire time in that 5th round. I wouldn't have minded that either. He's playing it safe. He's playing the game. It's on Thiago Santos to get out of those positions and try to make something happen, but he just couldn't make anything happen that night. But Thiago Santos' volume kind of picked up after that second round, even after getting dropped. And the first round, he landed 8 significant strikes. Round 2, 15. That's obviously at the end of the round where he got dropped. After that, 19 significant strikes in round 3, 21 in round 4, and then 15 in round 5, although 36 were his total strikes because a lot of them coming up against the cage. They don't really count a lot of those as significant strikes. So he did what he needed to do, in my opinion. Now,
Absolutely.
comes the next conversation is what happens next? Where does he go? Right? It wasn't an entertaining performance. Obviously, it's not like anybody's yelling from the rooftops that he should be getting a title shot. Other than myself, if you listen closely enough, you'll be hearing me screaming from the mountaintops that he is King Ankalaev and he is the uncrowned champ at this point in time. But I feel like they're going to match him up with one more guy before they decide to give him a title shot or anything like that. And I think the perfect person, I've seen the name thrown around, you thrown around the name yourself. Jamal Hill is a great fight to put him up against for Hill as well, right? If Hill goes out there and beats a guy like Magomed Ankalaev, you can insert him into a title shot. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm completely fine with that. But how they match up is kind of the debate that's been going on over Twitter the last little while. So I might as well just hand it on over to you. Let's spend a couple minutes on this this little debate. What are your points behind Jamal Hill? Why do you think he beats Magomed Ankalaev? And I will absolutely be ready with a rebuttal afterwards.
Yeah, man, let's go for it. First off, I want to shout out our guy in the chat, Lil Mac. I'm completely in agreement. They just need to stop putting Thiago Santos in main event 5-round fights. It ain't working out. He needs to be a little further down the main card. At this point, put him on the undercard. Give him somebody he might actually be able to. Give him somebody he can actually land a bomb on, man. Like, we haven't seen Thiago. They keep running the highlights of what Santos can do. You know how long it's been since he's done that to somebody? Like, he doesn't have a highlight for 10 years. Like, the man needs an opponent that he can defeat. Get him somebody out of the top 15 if you want him to be at all relevant for the next 2 years. Otherwise, you just hang it up and call it a day, because he's not going to catch any of these guys in the top 10 with the type of shots that he needs to catch someone with to really shine or win a fight. Sorry, that's my opinion.
I just want to say one thing in terms of how we match Thiago Santos moving forward. Give him Volkan Oezdemir. I'm okay with that matchup because both guys are coming off losses to Ankalaev as well, right? So might as well match those guys up and see how they fare. But please continue, Clint.
Well, and I think that's kind of the point that you're getting into for our next discussion here, Locke, is who's available right now at 205. And we've got, obviously, Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira, Jiri Prokasia, Rakic.
Nailed it.
I mean, I'm just stumbling my way through these names as I'm reading off the list. Like, right now, everybody's got a dance partner, right? The only ones who don't have a fight lined up, at least that I'm aware of, Anthony Smith. Am I wrong? Does he have a fight lined up?
I don't think he does.
I don't think he does right now. Thiago Santos just got done fighting. He's number 6. Dominic Reyes, who knows when we'll see that guy again, because he's been cracked so many times he needs some time off. I don't think he's matched with anybody. Volkan Oezdemir, Nikita Krylov, Jamal Hill. So, like, that's your top 10 right there. The only people who are available would be potentially Anthony Smith, potentially Dominic Reyes, but I don't think he's fighting anybody anytime soon. So Volkan Oezdemir, and then Jamal Hill. Those are the only 3 guys that are available. So I think it makes perfect sense to have Magomed Ankalaev take on Jamal Hill. And honestly, man, I think that this fight is a showcase, an absolute showcase as to why Jamal Hill has advantages. Because Jamal Hill is younger than Thiago Santos. He is faster than Thiago Santos. He's a legitimate 205er, not a 185er masquerading as a 205er late in his career. He's a big boy. He is going to be more athletic, faster, and explosive than someone like Thiago Santos. Santos was able to get in the grill of Magomed Ankalaev, drop him with a big shot. He only did it once over the course of 25 minutes. Man, Jamal Hill attempts like 250 strikes over the course of a 15-minute fight, if they get that far. He knocks everybody else out way before it ever gets to that point. So if you're talking we're going to have a 15-minute or potentially a 25-minute fight between these guys, he's going to have so much more activity. What Magomed Ankalaev does really well is he measures the pace of his opponents. But he's really rough in boxing range, Locke. That's the one thing that we've seen time and time again. He did get clipped by Dalcha Longiambula, and he got hurt by that, man. He did get clipped by Ion Cutelaba, and even though he came back and won the fight, he got hurt by that, man. He got dropped by Thiago Santos. A younger, faster man is going to finish that fight. All those guys load up on one big shot, and they were managing to catch him. Imagine a guy that works behind a jab. Imagine a guy who cuts angles, a guy that can close the distance, someone who maybe, just maybe, can control the boxing range a little bit better than you. I think Jamal Hill is like, Yeah, it's paper, rock, scissors in MMA, Lock. We know this. It's not just straight up, it's not DBZ power levels. It's not who is the ultimate strongest. It's paper, rock, scissors. And I think Jamal Hill is the paper to Ankalaev's rock. I just think he's a bad matchup for him.
You make some good points, and the one thing I will agree with is the speed, right? I do think he has a speed advantage, and that could obviously play in part with how that fight plays out. But the one thing that Ankalaev is really good at is kind of making guys pay whenever they do throw output, right? Volkan Oezdemir thought that he could command the center of the cage with his striking. He landed a good shot on Ankalaev, but ate a counter for his troubles in return, ended up getting dropped later in that round, and Ankalaev was able to take over the fight because Volkan seemed broken after that. He's like, oh, fuck. Like, I thought I was going to be the power striker here. I got clipped. He has my number now. I don't know what I can do. What happens when Jamal Hill gets clipped by a counter? What happens when Jamal Hill, leads himself on to getting hit by a big shot by Ankalaev? Is his confidence going to start to slow down? Is he going to start to question himself in terms of the amount of output that he can throw? That's kind of my big question here in terms of how people deal with that. Like you said, Dalcha, Iwan, and all these guys have hurt or hit Ankalaev, but they've all ended up paying for it. They all end up paying for it, and they all end up either getting finished. Well, definitely Dalcha and Iwan getting finished. Thiago Santos goes the full 25 minutes. But I feel as though that's kind of what Ankalaev wants to play into. He's not a high volume guy. More often than not, he's a low output striker, but he bides his time. His striking defense, I believe, before the Thiago Santos fight was about 64%. I'm not sure what it's at right now, but that's just a testament to how well he does in terms of hitting without getting hit. And yeah, he might have gotten cracked a couple times, and Jamal Hill might be able to find that chin as well. But I think at a certain point, he's going to eat a counter, and his morale is going to start to dip. And then we'll see Magomed go back to what he does best. And who's not to say that Magomed wants to go out there and take down Jamal Hill and make him struggle on the mat? Right? That would be
love it if Magomed tried to grapple. Like, honestly, man, I've got questions about Magomed's gas tank. You get a big man like that with wrestling, he doesn't shoot a lot of takedowns, and I think that's for a reason. I think he gets tired when he wrestles. And while that's completely understandable, obviously, when you weigh that much, you got that much muscle on you, it's hard work to force another human being that weighs and, has that kind of strength to the ground and then hold them there. It's not an easy thing to do. So it makes sense. So I'm not criticizing his gas tank. Obviously, he can go a full 15 or 25 minutes striking, no problem. But when you start mixing in those takedowns, Jamal Hill is the kind of guy that wears you out with you trying to grapple him. His get-up game is incredible. And people want to talk about the Paul Craig fight. He was overconfident. He paid for his overconfidence in that fight. We can bag that one and throw it out because he's not going to do that in another fight. And I'm not seeing Ankalaev throwing arm bars from his guard anyway. Exactly. So that one's just a complete wash in this case. But what you can go back to is the fight where he fought Darko Stosic. And he defended so many takedowns.
Come on,
and the
Clint.
ones that were half takedowns.
Darko Stosic compared to Magomed Ankalaev. Come on.
I'm just saying we got a blueprint, Lock. All I'm saying is we got a blueprint. We know the man can get taken down, get back up on repeat, and has gas to still put up over 100 significant strikes in that fight being taken down. So yes, Darko is not nearly the level of wrestler that Magomed Ankalaev is. But I don't think Magomed can shoot 11 takedowns in a fight. So I think if he defends and gets up from 3, 4, all of a sudden you're dealing with a much slower, much more tired Magomed Ankalaev. And then what does his striking look like? And then what does his striking defense look like? How powerful are his punches? I pray that Magomed Ankalaev tries to wrestle Jamal Hill. I think he'll be putting the noose around his own neck if he goes with that strategy. Honestly, I think he needs to strike to have any hope. And I still don't think it's going to work well for him.
I will say this. I do have my questions about Magomed's wrestling over a 25-minute period, but we've seen him do it over a 15-minute period where he needs to against Nikita Krylov. And I felt like he did a very good job in terms of establishing top control there and just establishing control time, period. Maybe he doesn't even need takedowns. Maybe he just tries to push Jamal Hill up against the cage, land some dirty boxing, land some dirty knees in the clinch there. And maybe that's how he ends up winning this fight. I think, again, this is kind of a shot in the dark. I think Ankalaev is a stronger of the two. You know what I mean? I think he'd be the one that could get the better of the clinch exchanges up against the cage. But I still think Ankalaev, in a 15-minute fight, I have almost no concerns that I think that he could beat a guy like Jamal Hill. Jamal, again, great striker, good speed, decent power, but I just don't think he's fought a guy like Ankalaev who's going to be able to just get that pace, get that beat down, and then eventually just start landing his own offense, land the counters that he needs to, and maybe even put out Jamal Hill. Who knows? He could probably find the knockout in his own right. But I know a lot of people are very low on Ankalaev right now because of that last performance. I hope that plays out in a betting line moving forward, because I'm still betting Ankalaev going forward. The guy, I don't think anybody beats that guy, honestly.
See, I'm the opposite, Locke. I'm very high on Ankalaev. Hell, I just cashed a ticket on him. We talked about that. Like, I don't see a problem with Ankalaev at all. I think he's going to cause a lot of people problems at 205. Like I said, paper, rock, scissors. I'm just higher on Jamal Hill. I think it's a perfect matchup for him, and I think it'll be fun. I just hope they make it, man. This is one of those ones where now is the time. They're both knocking on the door of that title. Everybody's tied up. Do it. Like, let's go. We already got, a traffic jam up at the top on this thing. We've already got, a title contender and people waiting in the wings, a title eliminator. Like, these guys got to fight one more time. You might as well just match them up.
The last thing I'll say about this, and we can move on. I get that there's a bit of a logjam up at the top. Like you said, Glover Teixeira is going up against number 2, Yuri Prohaska. I believe they're going to rebook Jan Blachowicz against Alexander Rakic, which is 1 and 3. So Ankalaev against Smith, to me, makes a little bit more sense in terms of matching him up with a veteran who's been at the top before. And if he's able to pass that
fight.
But I still feel as though why douse the flame on one of these guys when we can, build them both up, when we can maybe get Ankalaev his title shot and then get Hill his title shot after that if he goes out there and beats another guy in that Anthony Smith range. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do Magomed and Smith and then Hill with Ozdemir, because Ozdemir did talk some shit apparently on Twitter. He was saying that he wasn't sold on Jamal Hill or something like that afterwards. So, they could do those two matchups. That could be a thing that we see. I mean, if you want to go the UFC route, that makes sense because I expect both the veterans to lose those fights. I think Magomed, we've seen what happens when Anthony Smith faces a 205 wrestler. He just gets put on his back. That's a spot where Ankalaev can out-grapple a man and just never be concerned with it. Easy coasting victory for him. And then I think that Volkan Ozdemir's time has come and gone. We know he can't take a punch anymore. We know he's a little slow. We know he runs out of gas after about 6 minutes. Hill will eat that man alive on the feet. So, both them get wins. Both them move up into the top 5. That kind of makes sense if you want to do it that way, changing of the guard. But man, I'm ready to see these two go at it. They've been looking through the cage at each other. They've been growling through the fence. Like, let's go. Give me a contenders fight.
I don't mind it. Again, either way that they go, I'm sure we'll see these guys matched up eventually. There's only so many fights that can go around in that top 10, and both these guys are destined for big things. So I'm sure they'll cross paths, whether it's this year, next year, or even 2024. But whenever they do that matchup, me and you are going to be doing a podcast together to break that fight down.
Absolutely. I can't wait for when they finally make the matchup and we can in earnest debate and look at a line and bet it. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Man, the next thing that we want to talk about is the rematch. They just announced that Carla Esparza is rematching Rose Namajunas for the title. I am so beyond pumped for this fight, man. This is a spot where they fought way back in 2014. Carla Esparza, the first champion of the division right off of the Ultimate Fighter series. She was nothing but a wrestler, got beaten by a well-rounded mixed martial artist, lost the title, gets dropped way down the rankings, and forever has had to put in work and effort to climb her way up the ladder because everyone thinks she's boring. Everyone thinks she's no good. Everyone thinks she's going to get beaten every single time she steps in the cage. And she just whips everybody's ass. Like, Carla Esparza has put the work in. And not only has she beaten her last couple of opponents, now she's finishing. Like, now she's going out there and TKOing these chicks on the mat and leaving them in a pool of blood. Like, Carla Esparza deserves a chance to go out there and say that she gets her belt back. She has fought for and earned the opportunity to say, I'm more than just a wrestler. And she's grown just as much, if not more, than many of the challengers that have gotten to the title before her, man. I couldn't be happier. I think it's a great fight. And it's such a feel-good story for someone like Carla, who's been around forever. This is a perfect match, in my opinion. And I'm glad she finally gets the shot. What about you?
Yeah, she's been beating her chest for a little while now, right? She's on a 5-fight winning streak, beating legitimate names that are, a lot of people are saying that they probably deserve a title shot at this point in time, right? Marina Rodriguez, she goes out there and beats her as well. Great win for her there. She finishes Yan Xiaonan, something that nobody was able to do at that point in time. beats Alexa Grasso, beats Verna Jandiroba, Michelle Watterson. Say what you want about those fights, but she showed why she's one of the best in the game, just because she probably has the best wrestling in that division, right? If I'm not mistaken, Tatiana Suarez has now moved up a division, but you got to say that Carla Esparza has the best wrestling there, and I think that she could still provide some issues here to Rose Namajunas. Now, obviously, you touched on it, right? The first time that they fought was way back in December of 2014, where she got that rear naked choke, and Rose's fourth ever professional MMA fight. In comparison, that was the 11th professional MMA fight for Carla Esparza. So she already had, legitimate experience under her belt. If I'm not mistaken, she was already the champion over there in Invicta before she came over to the Ultimate Fighter and then ultimately the UFC. So she had all the experience. Now Rose finally has all the learning experience under her belt, right? She becomes a champ. She loses the belt. She regains the belt. She has absolute wars with some of these opponents. Now I can't wait to see this version of Rose Namajunas against Carla Esparza. That's going to be a phenomenal fight, in my opinion. I'm glad that they're rebooking it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the odds are, though, man. Like, you got to take into consideration that she already has that mental edge over Rose in terms of beating her before, but I still feel like the odds makers are going to make Rose the favorite in the spot. What do you think?
They have to. They have to. I mean, first off, she's the defending champ. She's got the Joanna fights under her belt. And Carla Esparza is always disrespected by the betting market. Always. So, I mean, honestly, I think we're going to see like a minus 250 price tag on Rose Namajunas. I think she'll be a big favorite. Not just a favorite, but like a solid, stable favorite, because let's be real, Locke, she's getting better too. Like we've talked about, the mental hurdles that she's had and stuff like that. She was a little wishy-washy a little earlier in her career. The Connor Bus situation seemed to really rattle her. She's focused up, man. Whatever Pat Barry's got her doing in that garage way up there, like they have really broken her down, and she is a machine. She is no longer. I'm convinced she's not a human being anymore. She's a cyborg. She's a Terminator. She does what she has to do to win. She can KO people. She can submit people. She is a vicious, vicious striker, and I can't argue with her being the champion and being a solid favorite in this spot. I do think that Carla has a path to victory, especially with that wrestling, since, we all know that Rose likes to play off of her back, but I don't know, man. It'd be disrespectful to make this thing like a pick'em or something, in my opinion.
I think she really like flicked the switch when she shaved her head. Remember that? Like after that, she's like, oh, it just comes in the way when I'm training. I don't need this shit anymore. And she fucking lets it go. And she's been nothing but amazing since then, right? She obviously dropped the ball a couple times, but she's still in there. She's the champ now. Man, I can't wait for this fight. I believe it's UFC 274. Yeah, UFC
More
274
like Andrade
May
smashed
7th.
the ball. She didn't drop
it. There you go. There you go. If I'm not mistaken, that's actually going to be out in your neck of the woods. Do you have any intentions on going out to see that fight? I believe it's headlined by Gaethje and Oliveira as well.
It might be out in my neck of the woods, Locke, and maybe I'm going. Well, you know what? We got to see. You know what? There's a couple things coming up here, just family stuff that I might not be in town. Unfortunately, the one time the UFC comes to my corner of the woods, but I would like to go. We'll see what ends up happening, but I'm hopeful that I can make it. It's been too long since I've been to a live show. That'd be awesome.
Could you imagine live on location, Clint, with those types of TikToks? Those TikToks on location? God damn it.
I've been waiting. It's funny. Me and my wife were talking about this. Things have gone just so amazingly for us since COVID happened, as far as being content creators and shit like that. Like things have just been getting better and better. More eyes on the UFC, more people tuning into sports betting. Like things are going the right direction because people got trapped at home. I know everything else sucked, but for us, we've had like a niche little benefit from it. And I'm like, that's been really good. But my whole plan for 2021 was to start driving out to Vegas to go to live events. I was going to start rubbing elbows with people and show up at live events. I'm just a couple hours away, and that all got put on hold, and now I'm busy as shit. So I haven't been able to do it, even though the world is starting to open up a little bit. Hopefully now that we're going to be in my own backyard, I'll be able to make it to a fight. And Owen, I see you in the chat. Yes, it's coming. Sorry, it's been a busy day. I will get the total takedown out as soon as Locke and I are wrapped up doing this show here.
The thing is, I want to feel amazing about this whole COVID situation because how beneficial it's been to guys like myself who have been trying to start their own businesses and doing the whole content creation thing or whatever else. But it's still kind of difficult to be like, hey, my life's going great right now while you guys are probably losing their jobs or losing loved ones and stuff to COVID. It's bittersweet. It's tough that we got to tamper it a little bit.
Absolutely, man. I'm right there with you. Like I said, it's one of those things where like I've got to look for the silver lining.
Yeah,
It's not a good situation that we're in. It sucks for everybody. We all hate it. But there have been a couple of small things that have benefited coming out of it. So
exactly.
again, not me, I've lost a couple family members myself. So like I'm not trying to belittle anybody. I don't want anybody to think I've got a poor opinion or saying I'm celebrating it or anything like that. It just I'm a glass half full kind of person, Locke. So if I can find the silver lining, I do.
That's why me and you get along so well, Clint. That's
It's
why we
true.
get along.
And then of course I always think of the Nacho Libre when he goes, "My life is good, real good. I get to wake
You got
up
that down.
and make some soup. Spend the day, spend my life alone the rest of my life. It's
Man,
fantastic."
Clint, you should be a fucking actor with that and your TikTok thing, man. I think you're gonna get snatched up by some acting
I'm
agency.
working on it. Reality TV is calling me, Locke. One of these days, they're gonna do the Real Housewives of degenerate gamblers, and I'm gonna be like one of the guys on that show. The wives are all gonna be like rolling their eyes as the guys are in the corner on their phones
Yeah,
checking
exactly.
scores and shit, like,
Watching
fighting
best
over
fight
who's
odds
gonna.
and shit. I
they
love it.
get
I
they get
love
into
it.
all kinds of drama about stupid shit. We're gonna be yelling at each other head to head on bets. It'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in.
Ankalaev all day. Let's go. I love
Man,
it.
all right, all right. So our next topic, we're into the segments, folks. I'm sorry, we're not on a topic. We're out of topics, but it's maybe the best one that you know what? Okay, I'm stumbling here. It's not the best one, but it's one that everyone finds extremely interesting, one that we love, and it's one where the competition is fierce. It's time for Fighter Stonks. All right, everybody. We are talking Fighter Stonks, and it is presented by Prediction Strike. We've got an awesome little thing going on here with PredictionStrike.com. You want to make sure that you get over there, sign up with the deposit code LOCK, and you'll get a free Fighter Stonk when you sign up and deposit more than $20. So this is my Fighter Stonk portfolio. You can see right here, I have $26.01 left in liquid cash. I have a portfolio value of $25.32. We started with a bankroll of $50 a piece, which means I am up about
Quick math, Clint.
$1.33.
Quick math. Quick math. Let's go.
Quick math right off the top. This is my squad here that we have got rocking with. Askar Askarov is coming up. He's going to be in action relatively soon. People trying to pump and dump on Jamal Hill. He ain't going nowhere, baby. I'm waiting for that stock to bounce back up. It's coming up. I made a mistake on Mike Trezano here. He dropped a little bit of value, but I think, again, I'm going to hang on to him and see where he goes because he'll be coming up there. And then I've got Patty Pimblett in action coming up next. My most three
Ooh.
recent stonks. Jalen Turner, Morose, and Bryce Mitchell all making a healthy profit there for me. So what Locke and I are doing is head to head. We're just starting $50 portfolio value at the end of a set amount of time. Head to head, see who can make the most money. And what I am going to do, Locke, is buy low on the T-Rex, Terrence McKinney, because the man stepped up on short notice and he did go ahead and fight a monster with the biggest chin the UFC has ever seen. And I didn't think that was going to go very well for him. He's dropped a whopping 28% in value because he lost to Drew Dober. The UFC likes this kid. He's dangerous. He's got a great skill set. He will be back. I think I'm going to purchase Terrence McKinney at 86 cents per stock because I think he's going to go up from here. Next up, I'm going to buy a share of Lerone Murphy. I've been keeping my eye on this kid for a bit. For some reason, he's down like 0.5% or something like that. I think that's just due to like inactivity. Nothing really going on with him lately. He's a guy that I really want. Looking forward to the future. I think he's going to do big things. So before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and snag him. And I'm going to remove him from my watch list since I've already purchased him. I'm going to do that here with Terrence as well.
Nice handy feature there from Prediction Strike.
Now, I got to ask you, Locke. Do you have Ilya Taporia on your team?
Fuck. I do not.
You do not. Just got to make sure because we can't overlap. So before I buy the man, I got to make sure because he's going up. I've already missed out on a solid 6% increase on him, but I think he's just going to keep chugging his way to the top. And then I have one final stonk that I want to purchase today, and that is Dana Batgirel, who is fighting in a week or two, I believe. Batgirel.
next week
I like this kid's
against
KO power.
Chris Gutierrez.
Yes, I like the power that he brings to the table. I think he's another one of these fighters that we're just going to see him kind of chip away at people and keep on rising in the future. Even if he's, down in a fight, he can always use that power to like right the ship and get himself back in. So now my portfolio value just dropped a little bit because they do, like actual stock markets, take their share for the purchasing and processing fees and stuff like that. I'm still up net for everything that we've been involved going forward. So I like where I'm at. Honestly, Locke, I've got diamond hands. I am holding on all of my shares. There's a couple people that you have jumped on, cashed with, and then jumped off. I am doing the long haul strategy, and I think everybody that I've got is going to be headed up. The only one I'm kind of eyeballing is Michael Trezano. I think if he can get a win under his belt in his next fight, he's someone I may pump and dump a little bit, but pretty much everybody else I want to hang on to because I think we will see good things in the future from my entire roster. So that's what I got, man. What kind of moves are you making here for Fighter Stonks this week?
Well, I was gonna make a move on Ilia Topuria myself, but given that you're going first this week,
That's why we alternate weeks going first, baby.
Exactly. So we'll take a quick look at my portfolio, which is a little bit smaller than Clint's. I only got about 6 guys on this list, or 6 fighters, I should say. Respect to Manol Fierro, who's been getting some price here now, especially with her going up against Jennifer Maya next week. I expect that price to go up. Nasruddin Imavov is gaining some steam as well now. Finally, he's fighting Kelvin Gastelum in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. Hamzat Chimaev, again, fighting on the same card as him. He's finally bringing some money back as well. Magomed Ankalaev gained a little bit, I believe. Yeah, he gained a little bit here after the Jamal Hill fight. And just like always, something that I'm starting to notice, I'm sure you're noticing it too now, Clint, is that as soon as the fight is over, people seem to be selling the stonk almost immediately. Yeah, and they try to just take that profit right off the bat. But still, since I've held on to Magomed Ankalaev, he's returned me about 27% gain here, which is great as well. But since you took Ilia Topuria, and I had to scramble to find out who else I'm going to be going with here. Oh, sorry. Last thing. Song Yadong obviously picked up a big win here, but you'll obviously see, look at this, a big drop off as soon as he fights. $2.79 is what he got up to after he knocked out Marlon Moraes, and then he goes down to about $2.21. I still have about a 16% gain on him, but I am not going to sell on this guy yet. I think that he is more than likely going to be moving on up, especially with that big win over Marlon Moraes. So I'll be holding that price tag for now.
If you sell him, I'm going to buy him.
Then I'm not selling him. I'm going to keep him for the entirety of this year. But the guy that I'm going to go with, I like the approach that you just took with Terrence McKinney. I never really thought of that, and I never really opened up my mind to that. But I think that's a great strategy as well, right? If a fighter just takes a loss, but you still think they have tremendous potential, you should probably jump in on them. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now with Tufan Nchukwi, who looked amazing in his fight against Azamat Mirzakhanov, but unfortunately falls victim to that Murdakanov knee. He was on his way to winning a decision in that fight. Unfortunately, he gets his head taken off there, but I still think he has a solid future at at light heavyweight, which is where he should have been this entire time. Obviously, we know he took that little bit of a detour to middleweight where he went 1-1 and then just said, you know what, fuck it. These guys are too fast for me. I'm going to go back up to 205 pounds. I think there he'll at least crack the top 15. And at least give me some good value back on this stonk. He's only at 79 cents, which is crazy. So I'm going to take one stonk on him here and hope that he goes out there and continues to build on that, because I think he does. He's a very tough matchup for a lot of fighters, right? He's improving as well. His combinations are amazing. His ability to command respect inside the cage is, one of the best, especially with how much power he throws with and the combinations that he throws with, not to mention the nasty leg kicks that he likes to throw as well. So, I think that this will be a stock that starts to gain over the next couple months, especially when he starts getting his next couple fights booked. So there you guys go. Got about 7 fighters now. A couple of them competing in a couple weeks. Jared Cannonier, I think I will likely sell him once the Adesanya fight gets announced. I'm hoping that gives him a little bump, just because obviously his status and all that stuff is going to start to go up. I'll probably sell him before that, but for now I'm going to hold on to him. I believe I got about a 25% return on him thus far. I think that continues a little bit up, but I'll sell him before the Adesanya fight. I believe that's going to happen in June or July. I don't think it's 100% announced as of yet, but that's what I'm going to go with. So not as much moves as my guy Clint here, but I'll be happy with Tufan Nchukwi and just do my why I oughta to Clint for taking Topuria off the plate.
Now, Locke, remind me, buddy. We have two contests going on right now. One of them is the segment that's coming up in just a little bit, the Deadlock Duel. But the other one is this one where we're doing the Fighter Stonks head to head. And for God knows what reason, I can't remember how long we're doing Fighter Stonks for before we actually have a cutoff and say who's going to be the victor. Did we ever figure that out?
I don't think we came up with a specific date, but I think for a competition like this, which is highly based on stock market type of things, the long haul is much better. That's where we'll see more returns, and that's where we'll see things kind of really start to pan out that way. So I think doing the full year would probably be the best.
I thought so too. I just wasn't sure if we were doing half year or if we were doing full year, but I think one full year and then reviewing the portfolios makes sense because, I mean, like, look, I have more stonks than you do. I've only used about half my bankroll on stocks at this point. We haven't had much opportunity to sell. I think it makes more sense to let it go a little bit longer for this one, but we're going to have to come up with maybe a little better punishment then because it's such a long competition. So we'll put some thought into that.
No, for sure. But yeah, we'll regroup at the end of 2022, see where we stand, and then kind of just reset the portfolios, reset the bank accounts, get maybe back to $50 or $100, depending on how much money we end up making off of this ourselves, and then seeing how we do from there. But yeah, I think that's probably the best.
Things are going so well. We need the bankrolls to be bigger.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, exactly. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's keep the show moving along. We got about 50 minutes left here, so let's try to keep it nice and tight. Next up, we got the Daily Doofus. There we go. Let's go. It is the Daily Doofus. This is where we kind of highlight the doofus of the week or the doofus of the last 2 weeks. And there's only one that really comes to my mind as of right now. I was initially going to say Paddy Pimblett, and due to that whole Ilya Topuria situation, where if you listen closely enough to the beginning of that video, you can hear him saying, "What's happening, lad?" Like, I think he was just trying to say, "What's up" to Topuria, but knowing that Topuria is not about that life, and he obviously gets smacked in return. But the Daily Doofus has got to go to Sean Strickland this week, man. That guy just, we get his shtick, we get his gimmick, but he's starting to go a little bit too far with it. I'm not personally, I'm not a big stickler for the whole PC culture type of thing, but there are certain things where it's just obviously and blatantly over the line. And I think that what he was doing this week was blatantly over the line. Say what you want, say what you want about what he said. I just don't think it was the right thing to say. It's always been looked down upon in terms of guys expressing their emotions and expressing how they feel. And they've always felt, very bad in terms of bringing it to light, right? You don't often hear people talking about their emotions and all that type of stuff, but we know that mental health is a real thing, whether it's, you're dealing with, being the fat guy in the gym or being, the dumb kid in the class or something like that. Nobody really wants to talk about that because they're scared of being picked on and they're scared of having people talk shit about them. But Khalil Roundtree really brought it out there, and I was very happy to hear him talk about, all the struggles and everything that he went through, even to the point of contemplating suicide, all that type of stuff. That's real shit. That is real shit. It takes a real man to go out there and talk about something like that. Like, I'm not talking about scraping your finger or something and complaining about that. I'm talking about real shit where you're considering even to the extent of suicide. That is enough. You got to applaud that type of vulnerability in mainstream media nowadays. And the fact that Khalil did that, it was touching to see something like that, and to see Sean Strickland react the way that he did. Like, attack the guy for something else. Like, if you don't like the guy because you don't like the way he spars or the fact that he's a baby in the sparring room or something like that, say that. But don't call the man, all these obscenities and shit for letting his emotions out there and letting people know how they feel and trying to motivate people that used to be in that position or that are in that position that he used to be in as well. So Daily Doofus for me, easily got to be Sean Strickland. Love him as a fighter, starting to not really like him as an actual person itself, though.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. I'm glad you picked him. That is a solid pick for the Daily Doofus Award. And I agree that I put a tweet out right after he said that kind of thing that I was like, okay, I was kind of amused with Sean Strickland doing his thing. I kind of got the shtick. I don't mind him pushing the boundaries a little bit. Hell, South Park, like, I'm a big fan of their show. They do shit like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's a line. And that, especially when someone is going through something that honestly a lot of people around the world are facing, it's not that he's just one pansy that's crying a little bit about it. Like, this is a pandemic of people running with depression and things like that in the world. To say something as calloused as Sean did, like, it just, yeah, I'm over it.
Sorry, let me just
you
add
have
one
something you
quick
wanted to
thing
say?
here, Clint. Yeah. Like I don't mind when he like if you guys remember the press conference before his fight against whoever his last Jack Manson, there's one guy in the media section that had like this, boisterous haircut, like this very outlandish haircut, and he called the haircut gay. He goes, "Oh, it's such a gay haircut," and he's giggling and laugh. I don't mind that shit. I find that funny. Like he's just funnily poking fun at somebody for just taking that type of stance, but then to attack somebody for some real shit like emotions and battling through depression and all that type of stuff, that's where he crossed the line for me, in my opinion. But yeah, please continue on, Clint.
Yeah. Anyway, man, we can move on from that. Again, kind of a upsetting, depressing topic, but a good pick for the Daily Doofus. My Daily Doofus, we'll keep this pretty short and sweet. Lloyd Irvin, Locke, is
Ooh,
my
what did he
Daily
do?
Doofus.
What did he do?
Coach Lloyd Irvin, because my man, Tefon Nchukwi, had that fight in the bag. He was working his way to a rocking chair decision victory. He was perfectly handling a power puncher. And then after 2 straight rounds of domination, what do? What does Lloyd and his team do? You can finish him. You can finish this guy, Tefon. Get out there. You can put him away. So Tefon goes out there in the first 30 seconds of round 3 with a power puncher who's going to be exhausted after a minute in that 3rd round when he's fresh, when he just got off the stool, and he drops the gloves and wants to go at it in the center of the cage, gets KO'd flat and pays for it. Terrible coaching. Cost me my bet. Cost your boy a knockout loss. Cost your boy a win in the UFC and half of his paycheck. What the hell are you doing? If you're going to tell him to go for the finish, at least tell him to drag him out until he's tired. It's a vicious first minute of the 3rd round. After that, he was fading off drastically. I'm baffled by the coaching in the corner of Tefon Nchukwi at that fight, man. Lloyd Irvin is my Daily Doofus.
I love the conviction on that as well. I was kind of happy though because I had Mirzakhanov in a parlay, so I was happy to see that
Yeah, see,
knockout. But
it cost
as
me
somebody that
big.
was
I took a
backing
shot on the dog.
yeah, exactly, shot on the dog. Again, it looked great. That was a great read on your end, man. Even with the losing ticket, that was an absolutely great read. That's one of those where you're up by 100, but out of nowhere, this guy shoots a 101 pointer and lands it. That's pretty much what it was.
Dude, I always talk about, like, people love their baseball. It's like in baseball, if you're down by 8 runs in the bottom of the 9th, grand slam all you want. You ain't gonna do it again. You still can't win this.
Yeah.
It's not like that in MMA. A grand slam in MMA turns the entire thing on its head. It doesn't matter how far ahead you are. You can still lose if they hit you on the button. So, yeah, man, I was pretty heated about that. Had, a really rough night betting wise. So for that one to not go my way, like, it wouldn't have made a drastic difference, but at least it would have chipped away just a little bit for me to have had the opportunity to not have quite as bad of a night. So I was a little upset about it.
I don't blame you.
All right. That wraps up the Daily Doofus, and it brings us to the Deadlock Duel. Deadlock Duel time, buddy. We are going to go ahead and recap the previous events picks. You selected Covington, Barboza, Ankalaev, and Yadong for a total of 3 points. I selected Covington, Holland, Ankalaev, and Youssef for a total of 4 points. Thank you very much. Your boy is up 15-12. I got the lead, and we're growing that lead, just ticking away inch by inch. I'm gonna make you do a power hour, baby.
This is the last episode. Again, we're gonna reset this every quarter of the year, and this is gonna be the last episode before I gotta pay up. So I really gotta hope that my picks come through for the next 2 events.
You gotta hope I shit the bed for the next 2 events.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So I guess I'll kick things off for this one. You went first last week, so I'll go first this week. Again, I'll go UFC London, then pass off on over to you, and then let you kick off UFC Columbus as well. Again, for those that aren't aware of the stipulation here, we make 4 picks a week, 2 for the next 2 events, 1 in the main event, and then 1 from any main card fight. And then we get 1 point if a favorite wins. We get 2 points if an underdog wins, 3 points if it's a plus 200 or better underdog, and so on and so forth. So kicking off for UFC London, I got to go with my guy, Alexander Volkov, in the main event. He's going to be an underdog more than likely by closing time. I believe he's around plus 105. So that would net me 2 points if he goes out there and gets the win over Tom Aspinall, which I believe he will be able to do. I can get way deep into this breakdown if I need to, but you guys have probably heard me all throughout the week beating the drum on Alexander Volkov. If you guys haven't checked out the podcast, make sure you guys do that. Also, me and Clint are going to be breaking down the card one last time for you guys tomorrow. On my channel, so you guys will absolutely hear. You guys will absolutely hear my takes on Volkov there. But yeah, I'm going to take Volkov, and then in terms of my other main card selection, I got to go with Dan Hooker, who will more than likely be an underdog come fight time as well. So that's hopefully 4 points for me right there to try to close the distance here with Clint and not have to do a power hour. But I feel as though it's going to be somewhat nullified given what Clint's picks are going to be for UFC London. So yeah, I'm going to go with Volkov and a Hooker. Who do you got for UFC London?
Well, I also have Volkov lock, so we are in lockstep, if you will, for the main. So we agree on the main event. Unfortunately, I will nullify your underdog pick there on Volkov. I'm taking him as well. I don't want to. I'm going to give you a chance, Lock. I'm not going to try and nullify your picks. I am also on Dan Hooker, but I'm not going to use that for my second pick because I do want to give you a shot here at making up some ground, and I'm not going to play cheap defense, just trying to keep you off the scoreboard. I will take Paddy Pimblett. I think this is a spot where Paddy the Baddy rolls. The UFC set him up in a very winnable situation here against a fighter who, I mean, maybe borderline UFC at best. I think Paddy should win this spot. So even though it's only going to net me 1 point, I think he's a pretty safe pick. I got him in a parlay. Let's go Paddy the Baddy. I'll take him.
I don't hate it. Again, I don't like Rodrigo Vargas's chances, but I'll be his biggest fan come fight night.
What do you got? So now am I kicking off the next event then? Blades Daukaus?
Yes, sir.
You know, this one's really tough for me actually, Locke, because I haven't done the study ahead of time. It's always that second event that's a little bit of a shot in the dark for me because I never do my research before our show. I'm gonna say Curtis Blades off the top of my head, which hurts my soul just a little bit because I love Chris Daukaus, and even though I faded him against the Black Beast last time around and got the win there, I don't want to see him lose 2 in a row. But I will say that Curtis Blades, I think, bounces back here, gets back to his grappling roots. I think he puts Chris on his back, just being the much bigger man, gets the win. So I'll side with the favorite there. And then I will go ahead and side with my Fighter Stonk a little further down the card. I'm going to say Askar Askarov coasts his way to a dominating decision victory over Kai Kara France. I'll roll with 2 favorites there on the next card.
Well, that's going to give me a fighting chance because I got to really fight here. Because, yes, I've already done the research only on the main event here. The official pick is Curtis Blades. I do think he ragdolls Chris Daukaus and gets the W there. But for the sake of this deadlock duel, I'm going to go with Chris Daukaus. If he wins, he nets me 3 points since he's a plus 250 underdog. I'm hoping that it comes through just so I don't have to do a power hour come April, the first week of April. I believe that's when our next episode is going to be.
Got to take some risks there,
but baby. I got to take some risks again. My official pick, and I might even be parlaying Curtis Blades in this spot. But for the deadlock duel, I'm going to go with Chris Daukaus. And then another underdog shot on the main card here that I'm going to look to go with is actually Joanne Wood, aka Joanne Calderwood. I know she's going up against Alexa Grasso here. I'm a big Alexa Grasso fan, but I think that fight's going to be close, man. If it's based on output, which more often than not it is for Calderwood fights and for Alexa Grasso fights, Joanne Calderwood's really good at putting numbers up there. She has, I believe, 6.5 strikes landed per minute compared to the 4 strikes landed per minute for the Alexa Grasso side. And if this is going to be a 15-minute kickboxing match, that plus 170 on Calderwood looks damn good. I might even have an official play on her as well. I know a lot of people aren't that big on Wood, but she is quite reliable to go out there and throw volume as long as she's not fighting somebody like Tyler Santos or something like that. She even, in my opinion, she deserved to win the Lauren Murphy fight as well. but I'm hoping that she can go out there and just throw more strikes than Alexa Grasso, because I think that will more than likely be able to get her the win here. So that would be 2 points for me on Wood, and hopefully another 3 points for Dawkins if he can pull up the upset. And that would be a power hour for my guy Clint, if that's exactly what happens. Hopefully we don't end up in a tie. I'm not sure how the numbers and all that stuff are
Oh,
going to
that'd
work
be
out.
so
But
maybe we just both have to drink if we do a tie.
could you imagine? We'd have to bring in somebody else to just produce the show for us. To be like, okay,
wait, you know what? We'll get Dan Levy. He'll just mediate the show, and you and I'll just both get shitty on camera if we end up in it. Now the fans will be rooting for us to tie instead of somebody winning.
Could you imagine? But yeah, there you guys go. Dawkins and Wood is what I'm going to go with for UFC Columbus, hoping that I can close the show and beat out Clint. But again, we reset on the next episode, and we'll be back at it from, I think, April to the end of June to see who can come out on top there. All right, last segment. Clint, let's learn a little bit more about each other here.
Let's get deep.
Shout out to my guy, Doc Willis, once again, for providing the vocals for that. Shout out to any of my bad friends, fans as well. Clint, I'm not sure if we've done this question, so you're going to have to let me know. Lose your sense of touch or your sense of smell. Why? Have we done that question? I don't feel like we have.
I don't think we have.
I feel like we did one where like,
or smell,
would you
right?
want to
Not
be
taste or smell?
Touch or smell. I feel like we did one where it's like, would you rather be invisible or be able to fly? I think that's one we've done in the past. But yeah, this is kind of a similar one in an opposite fashion. Would you rather lose your sense of touch or your sense of smell, and why?
I mean, this one's pretty easy to me, man. I think I'll take smell. I'm one of those people, smell doesn't do a whole lot for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my smell of bacon in the morning when you got a fresh batch cooking, but there's more things in my life that smell bad than smell good. Like, I've had a baby, I've changed diapers, I've got dogs. Sometimes I forget to take the trash out or run the garbage disposal. Like, it's mostly mediocre or bad smells. So I think I'll keep my sense of touch, and I'll go ahead and lose my sense of smell if I got to pick.
I think I'm gonna go the opposite way.
Cool.
For one reason. Like, if I smell like shit, I want to know. I mean, like, I don't want to be the guy that's just walking around all happy-go-lucky and stuff, and everybody's like, that guy smells like shit, and nobody's telling him. You know what I mean? So I would rather have my sense.
Just take a shower every day, man. Like that.
Yeah,
it's easy to stay on a
knows?
schedule. And
Of course, but you just never know sometimes, right? Like, you got your body odor, all that type of stuff. You just never know. So I'd rather be way more in the know with my smell. And I love smelling food as well. I love that smell of bacon in the morning. I love that McDonald's smell whenever I'm driving by McDonald's and shit like that. I love that KFC smell when I drive by KFC, that type of shit. Again, it would suck not to have the feel, like lose my sense of touch and all that stuff, because we like touching things. Yeah, I mean, as men, we obviously like touching things. But sense of smell, I don't know, man. I really like smelling things at times. Again, even like some good weed, something that you may not know much about, Clint, but I like smelling some good weed, stuff like that.
Look, I've had a bad experience. I could do without the smell of weed. That one sets me off.
Oh, I think we should have that as one of our next Let's Get Deep questions, is your last experience about weed. Hey, I'm sure a lot of people would enjoy that.
If you want to do story time and instead of Let's Get Deep, we can do, like, instead of pulling a card, we can have a pre-planned Let's Get Deep next episode. I'd be more than happy to share that story, because boy, was it a doozy. Let me tell you.
I can't wait. I'm jotting that down for the next episode, and that's something for the viewers to actually look forward to for the next episode as well. Clint's unfortunate run-in with marijuana one time in his life. I can't wait to hear how that goes.
They're gonna do a video of my life. You wouldn't steal a car. Like, don't smoke weed, not even once.
Exactly. So yeah, Clint would rather lose his sense of sense of smell. I would rather lose my sense of touch. And yeah, that's a good way to cap the episode.
I like it, Locke. I like it. Hey, thank you all for hanging out with us. We had 12 live viewers tonight. We're on the brand new channel, so we're still trying to, grow this bad boy. Everybody smash that like button for us. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps us out. And retweet on social media. Share this thing out there. A lot of people still don't really even know that we're doing this, and we think it's fun. Hopefully you think it's fun too. Help us out. We would love to get it a bit off the ground. Good luck to everybody gambling, because, Locke, this week, there are some big ass chalky favorites that I think like 99% of us agree on, and all of us have parlayed. So we could all be looking at a collective bed shitting if some of these underdogs come through. And then the lines that aren't gigantic chalky favorites are pick'ems. So like we're flipping coins on any of the fights that aren't favorites. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to make and lose money on Saturday. I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, maybe not losing money, but I'm looking forward to making money.
Hopefully I'm on the winning side.
Hopefully we're on the winning side as well. And again, I know a lot of you like to kind of lean onto us for gambling advice and all that type of stuff and what our predictions are. Luckily, you're going to get both of us tomorrow on the Ultimate Weigh-In Show, 3 p.m. Eastern on my channel. I'll tweet that out, obviously, but that's also another opportunity for us to plug the Deadlock podcast, what I'm going to be doing as well tomorrow, because people love seeing us together. They just don't know about the Deadlock podcast yet. So I'm sure that we'll be able to kind of, bang that into their ears as they listen to the Ultimate Weigh-In Show tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune in again, 3 p.m. Eastern, me and Clint breaking down the card one final time for you guys.
Absolutely. We will see all of you tomorrow. Have a wonderful week. And since I'm rocking the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt, cowabunga, dudes. See you next time.